evening. As you know, my name is Marcia Bentley, and I'm a proud member of Delta Sigma Theta Sorority Incorporated. It's an international organization. We have over 1,000 local chapters, and I serve as the president of the Melbourne Palm Bay Alumni Chapter. Will the members of Melbourne Palm Bay raise your hand? Thank you. By show of hands, how many of you all have heard of Delta Sigma Theta Sorority? Excellent. It is my privilege to share a bit of our rich history. Delta Sigma Theta was founded on January the 1st, 1913 at Howard University by 22 visionary college-age young ladies in Washington, D.C. Our organization is built on sisterhood, scholarship, service, and social action. Social action isn't just an aspect of our existence. It is who we are. In 1913, 2 months after being established, our organization participated in the Women's Suffrage March.
Have off.
Now, today, we have over 300,000 women. And our sisterhood functions under the 5-point programmatic thrust: economic development, educational development, international awareness and involvement, physical and mental health, and social actions. The goal of our political awareness and involvement program is to empower our community with knowledge, skills, and resources needed for meaningful participation in the political arena. We are a nonpartisan organization that has remained an unyielding engine of social action, turning purpose into power, passion into progress for the past 113 years. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen, for coming out, and welcome to the Candidate Forum.
This evening, you will hear from Palm Bay City Council candidates for Seat 4, and then we'll have a short transition to the District 5 School Board Candidate Forum. Candidates will have 2 minutes to make an opening statement, after which we will begin with some starting questions. Each candidate will have 2 minutes to answer each question. Our timer will keep time, and at 20 seconds left, she will hold up a yellow caution so that the candidate can finish up. I will start alphabetically with Alfie Aguirre. Could you step forward? Michael J. Bruette would come next. Would you step forward? Michael J. Bruette? Oh, okay. And Kenny Johnson. Just to let you know, all candidates have been invited to attend this forum. However, probably something came up and he couldn't make it tonight. Let's see. Okay. We will start with an opening statement. You may have a seat, gentlemen. And I'm not sure your mic is working.
That's all right.
Okay, you
I
gotta
should be able to-
project
yes, ma'am.
the voice, yes. Yes, we'll start with Alfie Aguirre. Would you like to do your intro?
Good evening, everyone. It's a great pleasure to be invited here this evening to, give a introduction where people get to know Alfie Aguirre. I'm running for seat number 4 in the city of Palm Bay. I've been a long time resident in this community. I came here in 1985, and I lived in Palm Bay at that time. I have my lovely wife. I married for like 50 years. I got 8 kids and 13 grandkids living in Palm Bay. I am a businessman. I had 3 different businesses running in Palm Bay, and they all been successful. This city here is a city that I really be proud of being here. And I would like to put out all the effort I can to make sure it stays in a good shape that we can live, work, and play in Palm Bay. As I said before, I got 13 grandkids, so I need to protect the environment. And there's a lot of things we have to be dealt with in this our city. And I've been here for a while, as I said before, and I see where a lot of things need to be addressed, especially our infrastructure. Is one of the main things that I really, passionate about. Our infrastructure is too far behind the present development we have going on. And I'm trying my best to, be elected. I'm looking for you guys' support, and I'll do everything I can. I don't have any place to go. I'm grounded here. I'm invested here. And I'm gonna be here for the rest of my time. I know a lot of time people are, moving this way and that way and disappear, but I'm gonna be here. And as I said before, I am Alfie Agari, running for seat 4 in the city of Palm Bay, and I'm looking forward to your support. Thank you.
Mr. Johnson?
All right,
Yeah.
thank you. Good evening, everybody, and thank you for coming. Kenny Johnson, running for re-election for Palm Bay City Council seat 4. It's been a joy and a pleasure for being on the city council for the past 8 years. Being on council has its ups and its downs. I've been on council with past 4 city managers and 3 different councils, and within all of that, I felt that the Lord has used me to be a voice of reason amongst the council members, for those of you who attend, and also a voice for the people. When somebody brings something up to me, I bring it up to our city manager, I bring it up to our chief, I bring it up to our staff to make sure that it's addressed. It doesn't go on deaf ears. One of the main things that I really want to harp on this upcoming election, especially since we have a city manager who's shown promise, is traffic congestion. And one of the main ways we can alleviate that is by making sure we have a place to work. We have a place to live and play, but Palm Bay's been a bedroom community since the dawn of time. What happens, 70% of Palm Bay commutes outside of Palm Bay for work, whether it's West Melbourne, Melbourne, Cape Canaveral. Then at the same time, they're all pouring back in off of exit 176 or exit 173, and that's where you have that long line getting backed up. Where if we establish engineering jobs, because right now we're #1 in the southeast for engineers moving here, but we want to make sure they have a place to eat here. We want to make sure there's businesses for them to convene at. Otherwise, all that's going to West Melbourne, all that's going to Melbourne, and we're going to be stuck with traffic congestion. Another way of alleviating traffic congestion is taking care of public transportation. There's no reason why public transportation should be an hour and a half wait, and it takes you 3 hours to get to Vieira. It should be 30-minute times or 15-minute times at the least to get us to and from, because we're the biggest city in Brevard County and the second largest landmass in Central Florida. So traffic is probably the biggest thing, and protection in regards to our first responders, our police, our fire. Because as we're growing, we want to make sure our response times are what they need to be. Thank you, and Kenny Johnson, Palm Bay City Council seat 4. Sorry.
Looks like our other candidate has arrived. He got stuck in traffic. We'll do it next time.
I'm loud. Hello, I'm Michael J. Brietti, and I'm running for Palm Bay City Council. I'm your blue collar guy with a loud mouth. I'm the one that goes to the podium and brings out all the dirt and tries to get things fixed. And I don't think I need the 2 minutes. We can move on. I'm a little late, so sorry about that.
All right, we will start with questions alphabetically. You'll have 2 minutes to respond. Keep an eye on our timer. We'll start, yeah, I might have to explain, it's 2, 2, and 2 as far as timing. 2 minutes for intro, 2 minutes to answer each question, and a 2-minute closing statement. Okay? All right, first question will go to, Mr. Aguirre. And please stand since we're on a level playing field.
Yeah, makes sense.
Palm Bay continues to experience rapid residential and commercial growth. How should the city balance growth with maintaining residents' quality of life?
Well, the growth in our city is overwhelmed with the residential apartment buildings. And this is one of my main outlook that we need to put a halt and all these residential homes, that is all these apartments. The city can't manage this own resident community and not doing anything on the whole job commercial entity. Our infrastructure need to get caught up somewhat. It's too far behind. I can't understand why we are not focusing, and even some of the spots that we do in the development, we collecting impact fees, and the word impact fees is, I think it needs to be spent right where it currently impacts. Traffic light, turn lane, any kind of thing like these. I think, we need a lot more common sense, input in our decision that we make in our council. Approach it, we're prioritize the thing that we did, we do what is more necessary first, and not doing it later on, or keep promising and not getting it done. And that's one of my main concerns. So my focus is to make a different approach, more common sense approach that would get things done that needed to be done right away. We need roads, we need sidewalks, we need street light, we need traffic light, we need turn lane for the traffic. It's too much. And it's all staying there for too long before anything is done. So that's my intention, to kind of focus on these, put it up there on a regular basis, and see what happens. Thank you very much.
Mr. Gueretti?
Yes, thank you. I've been at the podium for the past 2 years on residential building. Now, we can't stop individual lot building. We just can't do it. But what we can stop are these large builders bringing large-scale projects, subdivisions. People don't like to use the word moratorium. I want to use it. I want a moratorium on all large-scale residential building. What we need is commercial and light industrial, which brings in, number one, jobs. Number two, larger impact fees and larger bargaining chips. I'm going to take Lennar, for instance, this last deal. Okay, so they want to help widen the road. They want to give a fire engine. Big deal. That's selling the city short. If these people have a right to build, by the new laws here in Florida, use your bargaining chips. Make them build a whole fire station. Why not make them just buy one fire truck? That doesn't make any sense. None whatsoever. There's not a whole lot that you can do. Our roads mean everything to us here. Our infrastructure is so behind. And if you're not going to bring in commercial and light industrial, that's going to bring bigger impact fees, then we're never going to get the roads done. I don't know what happened to our road bond. There's still a lot of questions about that. What I'd like to see is a state Doge here in Palm Bay. Self-Doge isn't enough. You can pat yourself on the back for finding $56 million, but that's a drop in the bucket.
Mr. Johnson?
Thank you, Mel.
Would you like a repetition of the question?
No, I got it. So that's intergovernmental relations are important when you're working at the local level. What I mean by that is knowing what's going on at the federal level, state level, and the local level. State level, unfortunately, makes it very difficult to stop growth. There's a Senate bill called Senate Bill 180 where you can't do moratoriums. You can't restrict growth. But one thing I found working with the city of Palm Bay, because previously staff and growth management would make things very challenging for commercial growth. I'm like, hey, if we can make it challenging for commercial growth, why can't we make it challenging for residential growth without being sued? So there have been projects that have been approved, that have been large-scale projects, but there have also been projects that have been shot down, big, huge projects. We're talking about 2,000 plus units that have been shot down, but they're taking us to court to try to contest it. So we're going through that right now with a few projects that have been shot down, but that's just the name of the game. They have multiple lawyers, and sometimes they just try to bleed us out, but we still have to stand our ground. So what I feel we can do to address that is making sure we change our land development code, which we're in the process of updating, to make it more friendly to have commercial builders come here and make it more stringent and difficult for planned unit developments or HOAs to come here. So that's all.
I am not alone up here. I forgot to introduce my other moderator for the evening from the sorority, Desiree Bass, and she's got the next question.
Okay. Good evening. Mr. Baretti, this question is for you.
Yes.
Recent reductions in funding for transportation services have raised concerns about accessibility for residents with disabilities. What role should the city play in ensuring accessibility transportation for individuals with disabilities?
I believe extra monies have to be written into Public Works. That's short and simple. I mean, Public Works gets, I don't know, maybe you might be able to answer this, maybe what, 25% of the budget? 25% of the budget? It's a lot of money. And I'm sure that there's money left over. My question is, why aren't we using this for public access to the buses, for handicap purposes? That's all I have to say. Thanks.
Okay, Mr. Johnson?
All right. So the current public transportation in Brevard County is Space Coast Area Transit. One thing, speaking with them, there's a breakdown in communication between them and all the municipalities in Brevard County. So what I mean by that is, when there's a project coming up for a vote, Space Coast Area Transit isn't aware of it. Where if they were, like the previous topic that was mentioned, Lennar Homes, I was speaking to the builders of Lennar Homes saying, hey, I want a bus stop in front of your place. You're gonna have this many homes, you're gonna have kids over here, you're gonna have high school kids here. I want a bus stop in front. And they were like, okay, that's something we can do. But those conversations, there was a breakdown in communication, not just in Palm Bay, but from Titusville all the way down. So if we have those conversations early on of saying, this is what we want, and to the point of what Mr. Brietti was saying, negotiate properly, we can get things done. So we need more bus stops, we need more buses, and we need to make sure everything's ADA compliant for those who can walk and those who can roll. But you understand what I'm saying. But either way, we need everything accessible for everyone. So that's all.
So I can read the question again?
No, man, that's
Okay.
fine, that's fine, I'm good.
Thank you.
Yeah, the public transportation system in our city need to be addressed from staff to citizens. I would like to see a lot more citizens come over to the meeting, a council meeting. Voice your opinion, because this is one of the things we need, communication of the public. The staff need to take it up from there, and we need to make sure that we focus on disability and people that's disabled is one thing, but mental illness is another problem, where this mental illness causes our citizens to be homeless. And I heard a bus driver was complaining, Alfie, sometimes these people come in the bus, they smell so bad, I can't even take it. I feel like running them off the bus. I said, no, you can't do that. You have to make sure if you have a problem on a bus line, you complain or you tell your office. Then they make a note on it and address it. But we need to put more effort to elderly people, disabled, and homeless. So the bus service need to improve along that line. The bus shed is another problem. We're in Florida, and we have rain or sun, and it's two main weather that causes you to get wet or burned in the sun. And people are standing at the bus stop. From McDonald's, all these businesses in this city need to put a bus shed closer to them. Aris, all of these places need to put a bus shed. I am from Jamaica, and we have a bus shed at every bus stop. And you know, we're a small nation, and this needs to be addressed. I think I'll be echoing this every time if I get a chance. Thank you.
Next question, we will start with Mr. Johnson. The question for all three of you is, recent flooding, drainage concerns, and infrastructure failures have renewed attention on Palm Bay's stormwater system. What long-term solutions would you prioritize to improve stormwater management?
Thank you. So one thing that's been discussed, I actually learned about it from the Marine Resource Council, is LID, Low Impact Development. And what that is instead of just depending on stormwater retention ponds, utilizing the earth that we already have to retain the water and retain what's coming from the rain, instead of just having having something hoping it's gonna hold. We've experienced 2004 when 3 hurricanes hit us back to back to back, and you had people on their canoes on Malabar Road and on jet skis going down the road. We don't need that anymore. So one thing I spoke with our growth management director about is how can we mandate without getting in trouble from the state level, low impact development. And that's the best way I see of us resolving that. So that's all.
Thank you. Mr. Hirsch?
Well, I can say loudly, clearly infrastructure. I've been here since 1985, and some of these drainage swales and pipe are the same pipe and drain today. And this you need to expand the swale to accommodate the runoff. Every time you build a house or you build a roadway and you make that surface hard, it creates more water going down the street. So you have to expand all of these. Have to be done. If you don't do this, you're gonna have a flood. The whole city gonna be underwater one day. Because this is what the problem is. We have to keep up with the infrastructure in any way and form where necessary for these development we have. We have 50,000 people join our community within 5 years. Okay, when I was running in 2020, we had like 95,000 citizens in this city, and now we have 160, close to 160. So what are we doing to the infrastructure to accommodate these citizens that are joining our crew? So the infrastructure definitely drainage. We have a sewer system break twice in our city and flooded the lagoon. And it's because of maintenance. These pipes never changed for maybe 40 years. And this is one of the things you gotta keep record of all the stuff. You gotta make the department, accountable for their work and operation. The public work department, to me, is a money-making department. We need to bid some of the job at public work that they can earn some of the money and not giving out to the outside contractor. They buy some of new trucks. We have 175 workers over there. They need to be accountable. Thank you.
It's funny, this is a subject very near to me. Right, Kelly? A storm drain destroyed my property because it ran from the front of my street to the canal and back of my house. The Melbourne Tillis engineers engineered it wrong. The pipe was underwater the whole time, so obviously where's that water gonna stay? It's gonna stay up on the street. Well, it destroyed my driveway, collapsed it completely in. I brought it to the city. This is what made me get into politics, because the city does not take accountability for their properties and their failures into keeping up all of this stormwater. What I did, it took me 2 years before they took accountability, number one, and then they re-engineered it. They had Public Works come out, re-engineer a 36-inch line instead of a 21, raised it above water, because simple physics is if you put If you put water in a straw and put it in a glass, this water's gonna stay in the straw, and it's gonna flood. They re-engineered it. I've never had a problem since. Brand new driveway, looks beautiful, but this is just an example of what's happened in my entire neighborhood, so I can imagine what's going on with the rest of the city. Thank you. By the way, Public Works should be utilized a lot more.
This question is for Mr. Berry. What is your position on AI data centers coming to Palm Bay?
I'm very much disagree for AI to be here, because the infrastructure, let's see, I keep saying this, I don't know, I'm probably operating like a scratch record. You know, keep saying, doing the same thing over and over. But our infrastructure is so far behind. We can't accommodate the system. They take a lot of maintenance, it takes a lot of water. And you know, it pollutes quite a bit too. So all of these things are great, but we need to set up our infrastructure to accommodate. And this is one of my biggest problems.
I'm against AI centers. Number one, it uses so much water. We can't even supply half of our city with water right now, because we have no pipes, we have no infrastructure. Then the pollutants that come from this water, where are they dumping? There's a whole lot of questions with regards to AI, and I don't think this city's prepared to help them fix those questions at this point. I'm just totally against the AI. I get mad when I have to sit at the self-checkout. You know, enough jobs have been lost already. So I'm not in favor of AI.
It's gonna sound like a broken record, but pollutants, water, and the fact that they don't create many jobs, is very self-sustaining. So, saying no.
Okay, we'll start with Mr. Moretti on this next question. The question's for all of you. How should Palm Bay work with utility providers and other partners to improve the reliability of electric service and speedy recovery after major storms?
Well, I'm on solar. I found solar to be a whole lot easier. But as far as FPL, I think the state needs to be regulating FPL in terms of how much they're gonna charge you. I mean, for a simple service hookup to my solar, I had to pay, what was it, $400? That's crazy. For a guy to come out and flip a switch on a box. That's right. I've been emailing, asking the state to start regulating insurance, start regulating power, FPL. No responses. You just can't get the cooperation from the state. And that's what I'm hoping to start establishing some state connections here. And it's the only way that we're gonna regulate money being charged to customers from FPL and sources like that.
Mr. Johnson.
All right, thank you. Yeah, no worries. I was just waiting for you. So unfortunately, this is what happens when companies are allowed to be monopolies. Over the past 5 years, FPL has raised their rates at least 45% with no sign of slowing down, and that's concerning because we feel it on our end as a city, y'all feel it on your end as residents. If the city were able to handle it, I'll be in favor of actually taking on electric like other municipalities in Florida have begun to do. Other municipalities in Florida have begun to take on waste because whether it's Waste Management, Republic, or Waste Pro, those rates continue to skyrocket. Same thing with electricity, whether it's Duke Electric or FPL, those rates are continuing to skyrocket. Where at least if at the municipal level, we're right now, we're the middleman. All right, so we're getting paid by y'all, and we have to pay them. Where if we cut them out, and it's between the two of us, one, we're more accessible than FP&L. Y'all can go right up to City Hall and let us know what you feel. I get several emails in regards to Republic, and I'm having to address it as the middleman instead of them doing what they're supposed to do. So if you're not gonna do your job, then what are you doing? So I think if we take a look at FP&L, we take a look at waste management, see if we can handle it, because if we can't, then we shouldn't take it on, because that will be at the detriment of the city and detriment to y'all. So I say take on a review to see if we can handle it, what the cost would be, because it'll probably have to be a revenue bond, because it's gonna be a big expense to take it on. So it'll have to be a revenue bond of some sort, but I think it can be done. But I think that's the best way, because it's not gonna slow down, so.
Well, in my opinion, I don't think we can take on nothing much anymore. We have enough on our table as a city. What needed to be done is we have to have a better contract. We have to set out a better contract. The bidding department need to make sure when we're doing a contract, we have it stated that we get any kind of benefit, or we can pressure the contractor or something. I see the FP&L, one of the question was, part of the question was recovery from an hurricane or storm. They are doing something that makes sense today, is they changing the power line from the backyard and put it on the ground. That was a good idea. I was at the council meeting that time when they come up with the proposal to do it. And they were putting the citizen under a little pressure that they have to, pay some funds to put the box and all that thing at their house. And I said, no, we can't, have the citizen pay anything for doing this project. But it makes sense, because what happened, all these people like myself from the islands, we plant fruit trees in the backyard, and they all rub on the thing and caught fire when the wind started blowing, and then blow the transformer and all that. So that was a good idea, putting the power line there. And they are saving a lot of money too, because they have to hire a company to trim the trees and do all of that when the hurricane. So they should have at least cut the cost to the citizen instead of raising it, 40%. Thank you.
Our next question. If you were to be elected, what are your plans to help our homeless citizens, specifically those who have mental health issues?
Tough question. But then again, we do have a lot of empty buildings here in Palm Bay that we could utilize as housing, treatment. I'm not sure why the city hasn't done this or made this move yet. Of course, I'm not on the inside talking about this, but these are my ideas. We do have a lot of space out there, unrented, owned by the city, that we could be utilizing for things like this. And I would push for something like that.
All right, thank you. So I've been on council for 8 years, and this is something that's been more of a back burner issue for majority of council. I won't say it's been a back burner issue for myself. Most recently, we had the same way you have job fairs for veterans. We had a fair in regards to helping those who were at risk of homelessness or were homeless. And in that, a few people actually got jobs over at Tony Rosa Community Center. Following that, my wife and I actually went and visited Matthews Hope up in Cocoa, and were very well impressed with their facility and what they were doing. I have a follow-up meeting with the gentleman, Scott Ballou, on Monday to see how we can expand the services that he's doing. I also serve on the Community Development Advisory Board, and with that, we get federal and state funding every year, SHIP funds, and we allocate those as we can as a board to nonprofit organizations like Macedonia and Meals on Wheels. Who runs that? Aging Matters. Yeah, Aging Matters, and other organizations. So I don't feel it should be the city handling everything and putting their hands in everything, but I think we should be the main facilitator or incubator of bringing all the partners. I think we have in Brevard County like 5,000 nonprofits, and it seems like a lot of people are doing some of the same things, where if we all were just to say, hey, we're all members of the body, let's see how we can work well with one another to get these users the needs that they need. And another thing with it, did you put the, am I good? All right, okay. I'm paying attention this time. Another thing that we've recognized as I've been really, okay, got it. As I've been reviewing some of the applicants that apply for these nonprofits, I'm looking at the numbers to see how much of that money is getting to the end user, or is it some of it just being caught up in administrative costs? Like how much of it is really getting to the end user? So those are areas that, got it.
Well, I'm gonna say I'm sorry I didn't talk before Kenny. That's some of the things I definitely, have to focus on to himself. The city, this is a big responsibility, and city and in a whole, they got liability and all kind of stuff to deal with. So it's hard for them to really take it on as a city body. But the non-profit is the main way to go, and monitor these non-profit, because a lot of these, I'm on the Community Development Advisory Board also, and a lot of these funds I see going the wrong direction all the time. I always have problem at the meeting, because the funds, they have some non-profit, you give the funds, and then later on, 2-3 years later, the project didn't get done, and what happened to the funds? And they're still applying for another fund again, another project again. So stuff like these need to monitor properly, and the main thing that causes, homeless is mental. Mental is the biggest problem in this world, and in the country in a whole, and in the city of Palm Bay, and I see where this is a big issue. We have to put in some facility or something that can help mental illness, and then we would protect a lot of these, because look at our veterans. Our veterans are probably 50-60% of the homeless are veterans. Why is that? We have to try to fix some of these things before we get broken this much. And this is what my outlook is, to make sure we, caught the root of the problem, try to address it before you start fixing all of these guys that's in the bushes. You're gonna round them up. Thank you.
Okay, next question. Amendment 3 will be on the ballot in the fall. If Amendment 3 is approved, what should the Palm Bay Council prioritize, and where would you look first for savings? We'll start with Mr. Johnson.
Yes, ma'am. And I've brought this up to council twice, one during a budget meeting and also during a council meeting, and the council really wasn't wanting to take a stance on it. My proposal was, don't be biased, just give the information of, hey, if this passes, say goodbye to Parks and Recreation, say goodbye to the Eastern Florida State College pool that we own, say goodbye to all these different sources of services, because that's what it's going to cut. So I was looking to have a solution in regards to just, hey, put the information out and let the voters be educated and make their sound decision. They do say yes, and if it does pass, then, oh, I'm sorry, I'm looking over here. You're right. Sorry. If it does pass, then that's when I said we need to have a meeting with our Citizens Advisory Task Force, which looks at our budget, and see, hey, where are we going to cut first? Are we going to cut parks? Are we going to cut public works? Are we going to cut down on the pension or whatever? These are discussions that they're going to be hard discussions, but that's what we need to talk about. So my proposal, as soon as the vote is in November, we speak as a council, we speak to the community and say, hey, because we might think this needs to be cut first. So y'all say, hey, we'll prefer that cut over this. Because at the end of the day, it's your services that are going to be affected. So that's my answer.
Well, I asked this question more than once. We should be looking at ways, because I think this is gonna pass. That's just my belief. We have a lot of older folks and stuff in our city that pretty much, and in the state. Because this state, a lot of retired people come by here, and they're paying taxes for so many years and so on and so forth. So if this thing goes by, parks, we just talk about mental illness. Parks is one thing I don't think it needs to close, because it's a very recreational kind of spot. So we need to keep people, you know, in that mental mind going a little better. But what I say all the time, and Kenny, you probably hear me, Public Works Department in our city and Utilities Department are money-making department. And we need to use these departments to bid some of the jobs. Public Work, if you look at the contractor listing on the city of Palm Bay, how much contract they give out every day, every month, every week, it's unbelievable. And we have you know, like nearly 1,000 employees in the city. Public Works alone has like 175. We just bought brand new trucks the other day, 8 brand new trucks, $200 and something thousand for one. Pickup trucks, all of these things, and we're still contracting to put a culvert pipe in. Yeah, a culvert pipe, $1.5 million to put it in, and we still have sent it out in a contract. So these are some of the things we need to cut back on. You know, so common sense priority. Thank you.
Yes. If Amendment 3 is approved,
Okay.
what should Palm Bay Council prioritize, and where would you look first for savings?
First off, I hope it passes. I'm tired of paying taxes. There's a lot of people in Palm Bay that have owned their homes outright for many, many, many years that are being pushed out of their own homes because of property taxes, because they're on fixed incomes. So I do hope that passes. As far as working the budget, we do have a city manager. We do have a finance department. These are the departments that should be working on a budget already. They should already be working on something right now and making the proposed cuts to send it to the council. This isn't the council's job. This is city manager and finance and a couple other departments, right? They should already have a comprehensive plan in place to bring to the council. Now you can close down parks. You're still gonna have a park, you're just not gonna have someone to maintain it. By all means, cut the cost. We're gonna need to cut a lot of cost, because I do feel that it's going to pass. Thank you.
Our next question, I'm gonna start with you. Many Palm Bay neighborhoods continue to rely on aging septic systems. What should be the city's long-term approach to sewer expansion and septic conversion?
Oh boy, that's the trouble. You know, I talk all the time. If our city had run half a mile of pipe every year, I'm here 40 years, pretty much. They would cover 20 miles. There's a lot of citizens right now who need sewer system and city water, and the pipes not available. And you know, we have a mandatory completion by 2030 that we're supposed to have sewer system. If not, you have to have an upgrade septic system, gonna cost you about $30,000. It's a aerobic septic system. And I don't see this possible. It's not possible for us to have this thing done within 2030. That's what, 4 more years. So these are some of the stuff that the city have to put in place right now. How are we gonna help the citizens with a long-term loan or some form of payment to get this water in? You know, sewer system and city water. The sewer plant is just it recently get done. They start some practice exercise down here by the south side, and it should be able to accommodate quite a bit. You know, for so much years we have a problem finishing that sewer plant by osmosis on the south side of the city. And it get done right now, but there's no pipe on the street to accommodate the citizen. So, you know, it's one thing to the other by expanding and setting up the infrastructure to accommodate our development. So we need to put something in place right now to help the citizen financing these upcoming projects. Thanks.
Well, I believe the conversion is 2030, going from septic to aerobic, if I'm not mistaken. It's gonna be tough, leaving the cost on citizens to convert. My home, thank God, I got aerobic right now. I don't have to convert. But here's my comprehensive plan if elected. And there's been talks about this in the past, and I'm surprised that no one has ever moved on this. I would propose the future sale of future utilities for the city. You got companies like US Water and many others that would jump at this opportunity to come in here and lay pipes just so that they can provide sewer and water at their cost. Of course, you can regulate these people. They work for the city pretty much. That would be my comprehensive plan. Sell off future utilities. It would bring a lot of money in, the sale itself, use that for infrastructure. And of course, you can bite off a piece of that cost in the future. That would be my comprehensive plan on that. This has come up before too, by the way. This was laid on the table some years back. When I was working with utilities, was the first time it came up, and then it came up again.
So what we're dealing with is a unfunded state mandate from our Florida legislators of converting from septic to sewer. Port St. Lucie did it years ago. They bit the bullet, did it years ago, and right now that's why they have so much more commercial development, because commercial developments, they want pad-ready development. They don't want development where they have to connect the main line. They want to go to the city that's going to be the easiest for them to make a buck. With that, Palm Bay City Council just a few years ago passed septic to sewer conversion, mandating it. But with that, we also got funding from the state and federal level on assisting residents with that cost. We also got funding from Save Our Indian River Lagoon. This year, majority of our things that we sent up to the state got vetoed by the governor. It is what it is. I'll talk to you later about that. But I'm still hopeful. But to the point of utilities, Deputy Mayor Mike Jaffe had brought it up to council in regards to selling utilities, because we estimated could have gotten estimated $1 billion from the sale. But council, it was just me and him, and council wasn't open to it. So I understood, because when you look at the other side of something like FP&L, once they're in control, you can regulate to an extent, but how much regulation can you do? So I understand both sides of it. I still thought it was a fair deal and something to consider, because we weren't saying yes to do it. We were saying, hey, let's review and see if it's worth it. So I do think that's still a good idea to look into it. If it's worth it, cool. If it's not, let's see what we can do in regards to getting grant funding or funding to alleviate the cost so the residents aren't being burdened. So that's all.
That will be our last question. Time is flying. So we will do closing statements. You have 2 minutes to do that. And Mr. Black.
As I said, I'm running for seat 4. I'm not a politician, nor do I plan on making it a career. I got into it because of something that was done to me. Then I started seeing things happening in the city that was costing our city large amounts of money. Did you know that we have 17 lawsuits against us? 17. One of them, just one of them alone, is gonna cripple this city if they win. And they got Ben Crump, so they're probably gonna win. but I don't know if anyone's heard of Blue Lie Audits. Lance Fisher, I don't know if you know the story of Lance Fisher, former deputy chief of police here. Now, Lance has been going to that podium, me in support, of course, because I don't want to see corruption in this city. I don't want to see people acting in malicious manners to hurt our citizens. And I'm just saying, just a few bad seeds. I'm not talking about the entire police force. We have great police officers, male and female, and I support them 100%. This whole flock thing is putting our good officers in jeopardy of actually facing criminal charges for false usage. There's just so many things, and I think that transparency in this city, we've hired some real characters in this city, me being one of them in the past. Go figure. And I've spoken against a lot of this stuff. I do not want to have a lack of transparency, and I want accountability for people that are costing this city. Thank you.
Thank you. So I feel I've represented the past 8 years very well. Could it have been better? It always can be better. There's always room for improvement. With that, I've been a voice for the people, but I've also been a voice for employees. Employees have come to me because they know I will listen to their concerns and I'll get their concerns to the city manager. We're a council manager form of government, so I don't have all the power, the manager doesn't have all the power, but he oversees all the different districts in regards to parks and recreation, public works, utilities, you name it. So I believe in protocol. So I'm not gonna go out there and just make noise and yell. If somebody's wrong, you address it accordingly, all right? But I don't feel we should be beating down doors unless somebody's doing something very malicious. With that, I may not have all the solutions, but if you heard the past few questions that have been asked, I'm bringing the solution, all right? And if I don't have a solution, I'm willing to speak to the residents, willing to work with the council, which at times it can be very challenging for those of you who watch, but I'm willing to work with those who are on the council with me, because at the end of the day, it's not about us. We're meant to be servant leaders. We're meant to serve first, and we lead by serving. That's what the call is. So I'm encouraged. I'm glad everybody's here. I'll stick around after if you have questions. I know we have the school board coming up next, but with me, you'll see that I'm motivated about finding solutions. My family's here, my children are here, my parents are here, my grandmother's here. So this is all of our community, and we want to provide it to be safe and sustainable for everybody. So thank you.
Good evening again. Let's hope I wasn't that boring all this time and wasting your time. I am Alfie Agari, running for seat 4 in the city of Palm Bay. My goal is to make sure that this city is preserved and endeared another century at least. Keep going, and my effort is to make sure it is a better place to live, work, and play. As I said before, I had 8 kids and 13 grandkids living in the city. So I am grounded here, can't go no place. I need our council to take a good look at our infrastructure. This thing needs to be addressed every direction you look. In my opinion, every direction you look in our city, it needs to be addressed. Traffic light, street lights, sidewalk, turn lane, you name it. It's unbelievable, and we're not doing anything, in my opinion, to get it corrected. The drain pipe we need to fix, because if we don't do something about this drain, as I said, we spilled thousands of gallons in the lagoon the other day, and that's a shame. It happened once, and we didn't even get on the ball and say, well, let's do research and try to change some of these pipes that didn't change for a while. Second one break again. We just have a serious break over there off of Malabar Road in that holiday emergency by the Holiday Park and Malabar Road here. So these are stuff that we have to look into and try to change. And my focus, as I said, is infrastructure. And I am Alfie Agari, running to seat 4. And my goal is to make sure we fix this place in a way that is better for us to live, work, and play. And I'm looking forward to your support. Thank you.
start with an introduction by our candidates, and Ms. Dennis, you can start. That's gonna really project.
Hi, I'm Tammy Dennis, candidate for School Board District 5, and I'm running because I want our kids to be educated, not indoctrinated. With that, I have 3 priorities. Number 1, student readiness for life, starting with reading, writing, math, civics, and then as they grow, I will help expand trade skills and STEM programs, connecting students with apprenticeships and employment. I've already helped form a coalition to bring opportunities to students and teachers, launching a website with all of these opportunities and the first countywide enlistment ceremony. Number 2, fiscal responsibility. I've been on the oversight committee for over 4 years, overseeing $54 million in annual surtax, and then appointed to the audit committee overseeing audits of operations, processes, and finances, $1.4 billion across the district. With this large-scale budget experience, I can prioritize and make the hard choices, at the same time putting our 70,000 plus students' education first. Number 3, parental voice. I will stand firm with parents' rights to make decisions for their child's education, and I will not stop fighting for their right to be notified with matters going on with the child at school. I strongly believe that parents need to be fully informed and fully involved. This is what's best for our kids to succeed.
Hi everyone, it's so nice to be here with you. I see a lot of new faces, so I'm going to tell you a little bit about me. My name is Michelle McCormick and I'm running for School Board District 5. I grew up here in Palm Bay. My dad retired from the Air Force back in '88, and I went to Southwest Middle when it first opened. So growing up in a military family and being finally the new kid, not by myself, everyone was new, was amazing. I also graduated from Palm Bay High. I met my husband over there when we were in high school and working at Sears in Melbourne years ago. I was in the key shop and he was in package pickup. We got married down the street over at Our Lady of Grace Catholic Church 26 years ago. We have 2 grown children who went through our public schools as well. Thomas and Sarah are doing really great. They went to Mel High and they loved the opportunities at Mel High. They both were in ROTC. They both were on the swim team and they loved it. Thomas and Sarah, so Sarah, she loved ROTC, became Corps Commander and Student Government President her senior year, and now she's a Student Government at UCF. Thomas, he loved swimming too. He became a Brevard County Ocean Rescue Lifeguard for 7 years, and then he's now in the Army serving our country. So we're really proud of our kids, and it's really a testament to how hard we all work together at the school level. You know, we worked with their teachers. My husband and I were involved. The teachers were wonderful, and what happened was that partnership really created a way for them to launch into their next phase, and we're super happy and proud of them. I started my teaching career here in Palm Bay 26 years ago, and I've been a teacher in Brevard for over 20 years. And the last 11 years, I've been a teacher for the deaf and hard of hearing at Meadow Lane Primary in West Melbourne. So having the experience of working with students with special needs and being part of those IEP meetings and working with the families, that's been very crucial in my learning, in my development as an educator. And I look forward to talking to you more. Thank you so much for the opportunity.
Hi, you all. Good evening. Thank you so much for coming here. I know we all have busy lives, so I really appreciate you coming here because it's very important to know what is going on our school board. I am been in the teaching profession for 19 years, and I have 3 priorities: promote, protect, and improve our public schools. So one thing I want to do is I want to promote our public schools. Our public schools are doing some fabulous things. We have a STEM educator in every elementary school. We have band, we have art, we have drama. We have CTE in our high schools. We're doing a lot, so we need to promote that and make sure that those 7,000 students that are not enrolled in our public schools, why aren't they? Because they're missing out on a lot. We need to protect our funding. Right now, the state of Florida spent $4.5 billion in vouchers last year. 270 million is still missing. It's unaccounted for. And 230 million was shortchanged from our public schools. We need to do better that. We need to hold our state accountable for that money. And last, I want to protect our teachers. Our teachers are under a lot of pressure. I know, I've been teaching for 19 years. We have a lot on our plates. Every year we're asked to do more. So many hats we're asked to wear. So we need to protect our teachers. We need to protect our funding for our teachers. Florida's teachers are the 50th lowest paid in the whole United States. That's shameful for a state that has so much money coming from lottery and from tourism taxes. So, and last, I want to improve our relationship. I want to improve the relationships with our families, our teachers, and with our taxpayers. Thank you.
Okay, I'm gonna start us off, and I'm gonna start with Dennis. Do you support millage? This is a two-part question. Do you support millage? If it does not pass, what programs or services would you prioritize, and where would you look for savings?
I do support the millage. The millage has helped us a lot to compensate our teachers for the hard work they do. It is absolutely key. They are the ones who are imparting knowledge to our students, so that's very, very important. I do support the millage. If for any reason it did not pass, I would look first at admin. How can we cut out of our admin? Because I am not interested in cutting programs that are helping. So I would want to go in and look what is working, what is not. If we find something that is not working, then of course you would remove that in order to support the things that are working. Whatever programs are working to educate our children, allow them to develop and grow, to be successful in life at whatever talent they have that we can help them develop, that's what I'm looking for. I want our kids to have the opportunity to be successful in whatever path they choose. And that is why I am so into the trades and skills programs, because it gives more students more options. And I want to be on the front line connecting those students with internships, apprenticeships, and ultimately employment. It's a win-win-win. The student is fulfilled and able to support themselves when they're an adult and maybe a new family. The employer has the skilled worker that they can't find today. And then the other win is us, the community. We get the product. So I will be looking at what programs are working, what opportunities are best helping the student. Those I will support. And the ones that fall short will be the ones that could go away. Thank you.
Well, I was a big proponent of millage when it was first on the ballot. I was on the side of the road waving my signs. I was talking to lawmakers. I was talking to citizens. I was on the news a few times. So I really wanted to pass this time. We need it. It doesn't just go to teacher salaries. It goes to paraprofessional salaries. It goes to our bus drivers, our custodians, our cafeteria workers, the people that are with our students every single day doing the hard work. So we really need to, hopefully that really does pass. Now, if it doesn't pass, I want to look at the district. You know, we kind of, some of our teachers, we call it the ivory tower up there because it's very far away from what's happening in our classrooms. So that's the first place we have to look. You can't grow up in this area and be here as long as I have without having friends in all the places, right? So when I hear some of my friends complaining about, hey, we've got some middle management issue happening. I'm doing the work, but I've got somebody overseeing me do the work. Well, we don't need that. We need to make sure that we're classroom-based, we're focused on the classroom, we're focused on the students, and that's where our decisions should be made. A board member should always have, is this right for our students? That should be the first action. Is it right for our students? Is it gonna help them? And then we move from there. Thank you.
4 years ago, I had just started teaching in Brevard County for a couple of years. So when I found out about the millage, yes, I was there, I was all for it, and it really does make a difference. Again, 80% of that does go back to our teachers, our support staff, bus drivers, janitors, so it's very important. Also, that a lot of that money went into investing in the buildings, technological investments in our schools, which is really important. If that money does not renew, it's gonna be a big problem. It's gonna be a big problem for our teachers who are already having to work 2 jobs to make ends meet. So if we don't have that extra money coming in, I don't know what's gonna happen. But of course, like any big corporation, where do they start? They start chopping at the top. Because a lot of times, over in Viera, where all the offices are, there's a lot of jobs that are overlaid with each other, so we can start cutting from there. Also, we're gonna have to look at take a hard look at some of the contracts that our school board has been handing out. Are they the best contracts? Are they getting the best prices? So those are some of the hard questions that are gonna have to be asked. But it's definitely gonna have to be starting from the top down, because we're already in the classroom, we're already understaffed as it is, and so cutting any more from the classroom or from the staff in the classes, it's gonna be a tough sell.
Next question, we'll start with Ms. McCormick. Florida has significantly expanded school choice through charter schools, private school scholarships, and homeschooling. What is your position on school choice, and how would you ensure Brevard Public Schools remains a strong option for families?
So I am about school choice. Parents should determine how their child is educated and what programs that they're involved in. My problem is that we don't have accountability on some of those programs. I'm gonna give you some real life examples that's happened to me in school. So we've had a student that came from a homeschool that came to us in 2nd grade, but not even on the kindergarten level. For 2 years, that student was educated at home, but now we've got to pour more resources into that child because he was not educated at home. So there was no accountability piece. And like Mrs. Trotter said, $270 million went unaccounted for. Senator Gates actually mentioned that. And he even said, we can't find it, we don't know where it went. So if I'm a big believer in fiscal responsibility, if you take taxpayer money, you better be accountable to the taxpayers. And that is where I draw the line. You should be able to, every government should be able to show you every dollar of where your tax money went, because they took it. Where'd it go? That's a question. So fiscal responsibility is huge. And to make our schools the best choice, we have to keep investing in our schools and our teachers and our programs. We do need to look at those things, but we have to do it as a community. Not this, we made a decision and here is the result. It's got to be a community come together and talk about what needs to be done for our community in our schools. And that, I feel like sometimes is the conversation that's missed, and that's where I would go with that. So thank you.
School choice has always existed. My parents sent me to Catholic schools many years ago. I sent my two daughters to Catholic schools for 4 years. So school choice has always existed, but not on the taxpayer's dime. So now we have these vouchers out there, and we already know the waste that's going on. Tickets to Disney World, brand new TVs, espresso machines, you name it. They've used the money for it. And then at a certain point, they come back to our school, and they're so far behind. And then it's our fault? Then we have to get them caught up? We're gonna have to do the small groups? We're the ones gonna have to put the extra resources in there. So, school choice, sure, it's always existed, but it has to have guardrails. There has to be accountability. If a child is going to a private school and taking that money, then they should be held to the same tests that our children take in public schools. Our children in public schools have to take 3 tests a year. So if they're taking those tests, so should every child who's going taking any money from from our taxpayers. If they're whether in a private school, they're in a parochial school, they should be taking the same test, because we also as parents have to know, is that child actually learning? And also, in order for Brevard County to be, as they would say, competitive, well, the state of Florida for the teachers have, for public schools, have about 1,400 pages of laws. Public school, charter schools have about 68, homeschools have 11 pages. Is that leveling the playing field? So, I have a problem with that as well.
Could you read the question again? Oh, sure. Florida has significantly expanded school choice through charter schools, private school scholarships, and homeschooling. What is your position on school choice, and how would you ensure Brevard Public Schools remains a strong option for families?
So, I definitely support 100% school choice. And I just look at it differently. As we enter this new era of school choice, less children in our population, declining enrollment, and most likely increased budget restraints, we have to look at it differently. Competition does not have to be the enemy. It can be a sharpening tool. And as you've already heard, Brevard Schools has many amazing things already happening that we do need to promote. We need to be smarter about which things we're focusing on, how we do those things, so that Brevard Schools is not just a viable option, but the choice. I believe in Brevard Public Schools. I believe they can be the choice. I love to connect with people. My past experience is when I come into a program, I jump in, I connect with people, collaborate, build teams, and take it to the next level. I did that with a children's choir. Came in, 3 little choirs, only music. Added all the arts, drama, all of them, including art. And we moved it to Kids Unlimited Arts for a new millennium. It was amazing. There was nothing like it in the community. It was for everybody, from 3 choirs to 7, hundreds of kids, thousands of families affected. I can do that for Brevard. Thank you.
Ms. Dennis, we're gonna start with you again, okay? Oh, my apologies, this question is for me. Student mental health continues to affect attendance, academic performance, and school safety. How should the school board prioritize mental health services while balancing limited financial resources?
It's a very tough question, and it's an oxymoron, because right now, at this point of time, we do need more social workers, and we do need mental health counselors in our schools. And there's a shortage of them. Number one, pay. It's always a problem with the pay. If they can get a job earning more money someplace else, they're gonna go there. So we really have to be, aware of what schools are in most need. We know that there are certain schools that have higher needs than others, so that's where we should be investing our money in those schools. We have chronic absenteeism, which is a huge problem. I think that was increased like 7.9% in Brevard. So we have to get those kids back in the classroom. We have to get them back to school, because we know once they're in school, they have a lot more support. A lot of them need just a day of structure. They need to be able to eat. So we know school is the best place for them, and we just have to prioritize those schools that need the most help.
I do think it's really important that we connect with these students and that we find ways to help them. We definitely need our mental health advisors that we already have at the school. If we can increase that and add more, I would look at that and want to see how that works. I also always like to think outside the lines. So how else can we help these children? We can bring the best to our kids when we all work together. So I want to connect with nonprofits, with business. How can they help bring and come around these kids? Actually, we're already doing it some. So I am very aware that we feed a lot of children breakfast, lunch, and supper during the school week. But we have a couple amazing nonprofits that show up with bags of food for them for the weekend. So we need to think not only at school level, but we need to be connecting. The leadership needs to be connecting with everyone around us to see how we can help these kids. Some of the things they need is beyond what we can even provide in school. So what can the nonprofits, what can the organizations in our community, if we just work together, if we just connect and work together, how can we together help these students and give them those foundations and the love and attention and basic needs that are required for them to progress and to do well in the classroom? And to choose some of these amazing options to help them develop and grow. That's how I think it.
So in our public schools, our schools do a phenomenal job reaching out to local churches and community members and getting services and getting supports for our students. And at my school, we work with the churches that surround us, and they help bring food for our students to take home on the weekends. And then they make sure that some of our families are supported to get them the support that they need too. We have great school counselors at our schools. We need to keep them. We need to support our school counselors, letting them actually see students rather than pulling them for lunch duty or pulling them to sub in a class. So we have some good supports in place, but we're not utilizing them because we're steering them away from students. So we have to fix that. The other thing is we really do need to work on making sure our students have mental health support by having social workers. It's been a big difference this year in our school to have a social worker, but again, if that social worker is being pulled to cover a class or pulled to help one student with a behavior, well then the other students are being seen, being supported. So we have to make sure that when we have supports in place, we're actually utilizing the supports in the right spaces.
Thank you. My question for you all is, and I think we're starting with Ms. Pence, what role should the school board play in ensuring accountability and transparency when concerns arise regarding student safety or the district's response to serious incidents?
Well, I think we should follow the system that is obviously in place. I think there are avenues and things online and with the current leadership that you can bring those incidents of the change. Start first though with the teacher. Always go to where it happened first. If there's an incident, you want to see if you can just settle it where it happened. Then to the principal, and then if you can't solve it there, then you bring it on up the chain to other leadership things. And if it's an incident that the community needs to be aware of, then the board should make the community aware of, just like at the open board meetings And you can always email, you can contact board, and I know I would be very open to hearing from you guys, from the community as well on an incident. But first, you gotta deal with it where it happened, with the people that are involved first, and then take it through the chain that's already in place. And we absolutely would be transparent with the community. I think transparency is really, really important, that we are open and that we share. Thank you.
Can you read that again, please? Thank you.
What role should the school board play in ensuring accountability and transparency when concerns arise regarding student safety or the district's response to serious incidents?
Okay. All right, well, the school board has to follow the state law. That's the first thing that you have to know, is that the school board doesn't make laws, but they have to follow the laws. So, it's so many different things that you can think of an incident, so I have to kind of go with a broad brush here. You have to be transparent with, what does transparency look like? It means that you don't make a decision without giving everyone the facts, right? It's not, okay, we already made the decision and here was the problem. No, you need to make sure that you're addressing the problem and what's really going on about it, and then working together as a community, but making sure you're following the law, and making sure that you know what you're doing, and who the support people are, and you're protecting student safety always. Student safety is the #1 priority on every campus that we have. But you've got to think about what transparency looks like in every single incident. I think that's a very tough thing to think of. You know, I'm thinking something major, horrible, catastrophic, but then I'm thinking, well, it could be a minor incident, but it needs to go through. What I don't want is something that happened that's reported that nobody's investigated, and then you've ruined a teacher's career, or you've hurt you've ruined a custodian's career, you've ruined a paraprofessional's career. So you have to be very careful about those things. People's privacy. We're supposed to be you're innocent until proven guilty. Well, social media has really kind of made it that you're really guilty until you're proven innocent. So I think that's been a real problem. So, and as a board member, following the laws and then making sure that the community is aware and has the facts, not a spin or a political agenda. It needs to be just facts. Here it is, and here's what happened, and here's how we handled it, and we need input on how to either change a process or to revise, because it's going to take all of us to do things like that.
Ms. Power?
So, last 10 months or so, I've been attending a lot of our school board meetings, and they are quite interesting to say the least. One thing I noticed during these school board meetings is the public will want to come up and talk, and a lot of times they're shut down. They're shut down because that item wasn't on the agenda, or they're shut down because of some other reason. And as a parent, as somebody who works every day, I find it very frustrating. You go there at 5:30 to go to the board meeting, you're waiting and waiting to be heard, and then you have to wait to the end of the meeting to voice your concern. Some of those meetings are 2 hours long. These are people who work all day. So I would definitely move the public comment up to the front of the meeting. Let the taxpayers, the students, the parents, whoever they are, let them talk, let them voice their concerns. My goodness, that's what a board is elected to do. It's not always pretty, but we have to do that work. Let them talk, let them voice their concerns, and then we can go into our business. The public does not, most of them really don't care what's going on, what contracts are being paid, what other stuff is going on for the most part. So let the people come, let them talk in the beginning of the meeting. And also, for transparency reasons, that should be recorded. Because maybe somebody's watching that from home and saying, oh my gosh, I had that same problem. Now I'm going to email them and let them know that I too had that same problem with that teacher, that school, whatever it was. But we really need to change how the school board is addressing the taxpayers.
So this is from Ms. McCormick. As students' enrollment shifts across the district, what principles principles should guide the school board's decisions regarding school utilization, consolidation, attendance boundaries, and facility planning?
That starts with the community. The community needs to know what's happening in our schools. So if there's an underutilization issue happening at one school, well, then we all need to come together at that school and talk about what's happening, what's maybe working at another school, what we could do and change, maybe a program that we can implement, but it needs to be a community-based decision. What it can't be is, hey, here's a problem we've already talked about, we've talked about it, but nobody really knows about it yet, but we're gonna put it on an agenda and then we'll discuss it. And then you'll have input. We need to have some foresight. You know, a lot of us in education say that as teachers, we're always building the plane, flying the plane, and fixing the plane while it's in the air. So we have to we need to stop that, slow that down, and look at what's happening and really focus on, okay, this is an issue. Bring it up. It's okay, we're gonna have challenges. That's what this country is based on. Like, we have that challenge, we've been challenged, we can do things. So, you know, facing the challenges and being honest about what they are, how they're impacting our students, how they're impacting our communities, how they're impacting our families and our educators, that's where we need to start. Let's face the problems head on and then come together as a community. This seat isn't about me. This seat isn't that, and that's one thing I've said. This is never about me. This is not my campaign. This is our campaign. This is about us. Thank you.
So, we talked about it earlier about the, low birth rates and, school, the students, not enrolling in public schools. Well, we also have we know that most of the students coming to, especially Palm Bay area, it's migration. So, if people, wanna come to Florida, and especially the Space Coast for jobs, they wanna know that they have schools to enroll their children in. Because already they're lifting up their roots and they're bringing their family to a new place. They wanna make sure they have schools where they can enroll their children. They don't wanna have to think about, am I gonna find a good, private school? Am I gonna find a good parochial school? Or am I gonna homeschool my child? No, because most of us, when we buy property, we look at the schools in our neighborhoods. Am I gonna be able to send my child there on his bicycle? Is my child gonna have to take a bus there? So we have to be very, very careful with our neighborhood schools. And we have to figure out why are they, if they're underutilized, we're gonna have to figure out why and what we can do to help that. We all know about the Cape View closing that happened this year. And what happened there, it was a big problem because of the lack of transparency again. There was no communication with that community. That community was almost blindsided by it. I sat at many school board meetings and listening to parents cry because that was their neighborhood school where their children walked to. Parents who had to go to work, they had no other way to get their children to school. So we have to make sure that the community is involved whenever we are talking about neighborhood schools.
Oh, sure can. As student enrollment shifts across the district, what principles should guide school board decisions regarding school utilization, consolidation, attendance boundaries, and facility planning?
So that plays in with looking at the big picture. And what is gonna work best for the students, the families, and the community moving forward with the resources that we have or we don't have. For example, the closing of Cape View actually was not because of choice. It's because less students even live there. Things have changed in that community. 48% or more of the homes are now Airbnb. I'm not saying that that's right or wrong, that's fine. That's also a source of income. But there's less students there. And there were two schools, both A schools and under 50% utilized. So, and they were only 7 miles apart. So it made sense to bring them together. Transparency-wise, there's a process, and we need to always follow it. But I would wager to say that we could not only follow it, but even do better. So maybe we check the boxes. Maybe the boxes were checked. But what the community's not feeling is we weren't out there. We didn't put a sign and say, hey, this is happening, or advertise, this is happening, and really, really like ask for input. We can do that. We can do that. So we can work together smarter. On the other end of the county, Palm Bay, we don't have enough seats. So we have to be smart. We have to know where to funnel that money. We need more seats in Palm Bay area because that's where the growth is of students. So let's do the smart thing that's best for students and families and this entire county.
Okay, Ms. Trotter, you start us off. The next questions are for all of you. Although Brevard Public Schools is an A-rated district, district data shows differences in academic outcomes among Black students, students with disabilities, economically disadvantaged students, and other student groups. What specific strategies would you support to improve outcomes for these students? And how would you measure the success?
Well, this is a question near to my heart. I work in Palm Bay at Discovery Elementary, which is a Title I school. And so we have a lot of students that are living, I don't know, below poverty, but they're having a hard time meet everyday needs. So this year we moved our school from a C to a B, which was a huge accomplishment because it had been a C for 15 years. So we know what worked: investing in our teachers and investing in our reading program. Those are what worked. We put in the hard work and we took the time to make sure that those students learn. And that's what it's gonna take for any school that is in an area that is has social economical challenges. There needs to be more investment, because we know at the end of the day, investing in those teachers and supporting those teachers is what is going to move those children. My favorite quote by Frederick Douglass is, "It is easier to build strong children than to repair broken men." And that is exactly what our education system needs to be doing. We need to be building our strong children, and we need to be investing more money where there's needs. In Viera, there's not so much need for a lot of support for those teachers and those families. In the Atlantic, not a whole bunch of need over there. We need to make sure that those schools that are underperforming, we're making that investment.
So I was just thinking about the reading, because those early years are very, very important for their development. If they're not reading by 3rd grade, the chances beyond 3rd grade of them struggling is even greater. 2 years ago, Brevard implemented a new reading program called Mighty Moves. It is based on the science of reading. When I read about it, I was so excited. It includes phonics, phonetics, and I'm sure Ms. Trotter could tell you even more because she teaches in that level. We also, even prior to that, brought in reading coaches. I am very for reading coaches. I believe that we should prioritize these children in the schools that are struggling. If you have more children that are struggling, then let's get our resources there. They need to have the assistance for those children available and help them develop their reading and their basic skills, math, all the things that that need to happen when they're young. There's also pre-K. The pre-K, there are some public school pre-K, and I know that there's been some look at expanding that. I would say we need to prioritize the schools where the children are at most need, so that we're getting early intervention early. And we can do that as Brevard Public Schools, as a community. Again, I am never gonna leave out you, because it takes all of us to bring the very best to every student in Brevard Schools. Thank you.
So this year, I do agree about the literacy coaches. Let me give you what happened to our school. I work at Meadowlane in primary, and we have about 583 students there. And then we have Meadowlane Intermediate. So my school is pre-K through second, and the intermediate school is third grade through sixth grade. So we had a literacy coach at primary and a literacy coach at intermediate. So our enrollment combined is like 1,500. So now this year coming up, we lost our literacy coach. So now we have one literacy coach per 1,500 students. How's that gonna work? It's not. It's not gonna work. We already know that. That's a problem. When we talk about, and I've been in the classroom so long, I've had students who were homeless. I've had students that, and when they're homeless, you've got to make sure that they have the supports from the counselor, from the community. We've had students that are hospital homebound. We've had students that had they're medically fragile. We have students who are in our schools who are blind, but this year we didn't have a teacher for visually impaired. They were given virtual services. Blind students given virtual services, that doesn't work either. Let's be honest about what's not working. That doesn't work. And then, I, as a teacher for the deaf and hard of hearing, I have a lot of students that also have other disabilities. So I'm with them making, we're developing the IEPs. We're doing all the things. And as a teacher, I see when a classroom is working with a student with disabilities in the classroom when they have supports. And I see what happens when the supports are pulled out. It doesn't work. We have to be honest about what we can do to make sure that we are supporting every student. And that's going to take all of us coming together for this too. Thank you.
Yes, you start. Yeah, okay. All right, let's start with Ms. Dennis. Okay. School board members serve as one of 5 elected officials responsible for governing the district. How would you work collaboratively with fellow board members and the superintendent while still advocating for your priorities?
Oh, I love that question. Because that's, honest to God, one of my favorite things to do. I love teamwork. So I love to connect, collaborate. I'm a listener. So I will love listening to whatever the issue is, processing, doing the homework that it takes to understand what's going on, and then coming together and collaborating, listening to one another, and forming solutions that can help move whatever the issue is forward. As far as my personal district, I will visit with principals. I will go into the school, into the classrooms when appropriate, to understand what their needs are and bring that to the board. But as a board member, I'm a board member for all of you, for the entire county. So as I bring District 5 needs, I will also pay attention to every other district's needs, because we have to listen to one another and work together to move that forward. And I also really want to, as I said, connect with business and with nonprofits and with the community, with families. I want to know what you're thinking as well, because that's all part of how we collaborate understanding of the best we can all of the equities that surround whatever the issue is that we're trying to solve. And I want to be part of that team to take Brevard Schools to the next level.
So one of my favorite things about being a teacher is going to work and working with some amazing people that come from different backgrounds, different political parties, and we come together and we're able to do some great work for the students. There's no reason that we can't bring that same energy to the board. We do it every day in our classrooms. We do it every day in every school, and we can do. I'm confident we can do this. I don't know if you've ever heard of Odyssey of the Mind. Has anybody ever heard of that? It's a problem-solving group. I used to coach that. And I coached it for a few years with students, and it's great. It's a wonderful creative problem solving. I want to bring that to the board too. There's going to be challenges, but we're going to have to focus on our students and our families and our communities and keep the focus on that, not on anything else. Let's keep the focus where it needs to be on our students, our families, and our communities. Thank you.
Ms. Trot?
So, I'm one of 9 kids, so I know how to compromise. And again, being in the classroom for 19 years, you learn how to pick and choose your battles. But at the end of the day, compromise is necessary. You have to learn how to compromise with everybody because there's a lot of different, there's gonna be a lot of difficult challenges. And again, with everything that's going on right now in our county with lower enrollment, voucher system running amok, we're gonna have a lot of challenges moving forward. So I will commit to working with whoever is in the other districts. And I know representing Palm Bay, we do have a lot of issues that we need to resolve. We have a lot of new buildings going on, a lot of new apartment buildings, we have new communities coming up, and we don't have the infrastructure. Just like the gentleman was talking about before, schools is gonna be a big problem. So we need to be, I'm gonna be on top of that for my district, but at the end of the day, Brevard County is one body, and we need to treat it as such.
Okay, we will start with Ms. Dennis for closing.
So I'll tell you one thing that's a little personal. I am a woman of faith, and I do believe in traditional family values. So I don't want to go back to things like boys and girls bathrooms. That has been fixed. But I want to be on the record for that because I believe it so strongly. I also believe that a school board member position is not a one-lane job. It is multi-dimensional. So as a spouse of a retired two-star general who has been across the nation for over 35 years, I have a huge breadth of experience to bring to this position. I've educated children, teens, and adults. I have directed large-scale events. And I might say, because I told you about the Children's Choir, those events became very large. Thousands of people, multiple showings with the adults, and the kids were included. So that, we're not talking little, okay? And I can take that same creativity and bring it to this job. The same leadership that it took me to build over 200 volunteers to make those shows come on, I can do that here. That's the kind of leadership that I bring. And then I used it for philanthropic efforts to benefit families. As a mother, I raised my 4 kids in public schools across the nation, and as a grandmother and a community member today, I serve Brevard Public Schools with oversight and action. And I will make decisions that strengthen academic excellence and opportunity for every child to succeed. I'm already on it. Vote Tammy Dennis, August 18th. Thank you.
Ms. McCormick?
Yes. Education has been my life. I think my first time I had a class, I was 7 years old teaching the neighborhood kids how to spell Mississippi. That was my first thing. I don't even know why we were living in Oklahoma. It made no sense, but they were successful, you know. So education, my degrees are in education. I devoted my life to education. I believe in public education. I believe I'm a product of public education. I know that the opportunities that I was given and my children were given in public education. And what a lot of you might not know is for the past 6 years, I've been actively trying to advocate for public education. Every legislative session, I go to Tallahassee, I testify in front of the Senate. I've done that 3 times. I'm always, every Tuesday night during legislative session, I'm on a Zoom with teachers throughout the state of Florida, looking at the bills coming in, what's being proposed, and talking to our local leaders about, hey, this is good stuff. Let's keep going on this, or this isn't going to work in a classroom. Because our leaders, they don't know what's happening in our classrooms, but we do. So that's what I'm bringing. I'm bringing a lens as a student of Brevard Public Schools, as a parent of Brevard Public Schools, and a teacher of Brevard Public Schools. And all I want to do is to serve. But like I said, it's not about me. This has to be about us. This is going to be about our community and what we can do. And I know Brevard is so special. Brevard's my home. We can do a lot of things, and we can get this right for our students. And I look forward to working with you all and making sure that we're moving in the right direction. And I would really be honored for your vote on August 18th. Thank you.
Again, thank you again for being here this evening, and I know there were a lot of tough questions that we had to answer, but that's a good thing, because I think we need to be able to work towards solving some of these problems. Again, being in 19 years in education, I really am a big proponent of public education. It is a good for all of us. And we have to remember that this public school experiment isn't really that old. Because first it was not public school for everybody, it was a public school for a few. Then it was segregated public schools. Then we had, once desegregation came along, and then it was public schools for everybody except children with disabilities. So maybe since the 1980s, we really had public schools that have been working. So let's not throw the baby out with the bathwater, and let's make sure that we keep our public schools funded. And I will continue to fight for our public schools. Cecilia Trotter, District 5, thank you again for coming out this evening.
Now, thank you again.